Welcome to Energy Stew. This is Peter Roth, your host. And I'd like to ask you, have you metamorphosized lately? Don't we all every day? But I'm talking about major changes in your identity. Who are you? And in this world of evolution, we are always needing to define ourselves in the best way possible, and hopefully not to be too stuck on the past. Because life is almost demanding that we come from anew and see ourselves and the world in with more opportunity for change. So to help us do that is a wonderful guest who I've become friends with recently, who is a great example of change, of personality, or let's say identity change. And so he will be a great person for me to hear from today because I really want to know more about his story. Toni Ghazi, welcome to Energy Stew.
Thank you, Peter. It's an absolute pleasure, honor, a privilege. Beautiful how the world and synchronicities allows us to meet this way. The universe is pure magic. So it's an absolute pleasure to be here with you and with the audience and to share what I can share about my crazy, insane life, which we all have crazy, insane lives, but that's my chapter of what's happening up to today. And every day continues to change. So happy to dive into it when
Well,
you're
you
ready.
used to be in the normal world. You were in real estate. You still are in real estate.
I still am, yes. So I'm a
And
realtor in Washington, D.C.
right. And so you're a businessman
Yes.
and you live and work in the business world. And there's a lot beyond that that you weren't aware of, let's call it super realities. So what happened? What happened to you?
Oh my God, what did not happen? Maybe that's the question. So you're absolutely right. So like quick history. I am Lebanese, and I was born in Lebanon. I moved to the US when I was 15 years old. Like we came to Washington, D.C. Like you go to school, like you go to college, blah, 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 the whole 3D thing. And you get stuck into these lanes, you get stuck into these paradigms and these like belief systems that you have to do this to get here, you have to do that to get here, and you'll be happy and climb the ladder and blah, blah, blah. Very structured, three-dimensional, disempowering, I feel, path that reinforces that you are so disempowered when you actually aren't, right? And I grew up Christian Orthodox, right? So I had Greek Orthodox. So I had a Mother Mary and all the saints and Jesus in my field up until I want to say like when I awoke. I want to say like 2 years before I awoke, it began. It like wasn't falling off, and it's not like I didn't believe like in Jesus anymore or Mother Mary or all these saints, but my understanding of them began to shift, right? They weren't simply like physical beings that are outside of me. I began experiencing like confusion a bit because I'm like, I understand they're there, I understand that they're energies, but I've been told so long they're actual like physical beings outside of me, and I didn't know how to integrate that concept to re-empower myself that there are within me, like really all beings, Krishna, Buddha, every being that you can imagine is really like within us, and like we can get to that later. So but like when I turned 40 years old, I am 44 years old now, exactly when COVID came, right? 2, 3 months as it began kind of coming and the whole world shutting down, and everything on news place, like you have to put a mask on, and fear, this whole fear tactics. I didn't resonate with it. I had no fear at all, but my husband, who was glued to the TV, subscribed to all these like fear tactics, which look, everything is reality, right? So it depends. When you remember that you're a powerful being, then you get to choose by your free will choice what you want to live in, how do you want to live, while observing other realities all around you of all the other beings that choose. So my husband like subscribed to that idea, and all the other people and the neighbors and blah 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 and all my clients. I just didn't resonate with it. I just did not feel fear. I'm like, absolutely not. No way on earth. Whatever you're saying, I'm of love, and I'm speaking now on a very surface level. I wasn't this deep into like spirituality. I didn't know much about UFOs or channeling. I had no idea what channeling was. I thought you had to have a special gift to channel, all these things, right? But inside of me, I just didn't resonate with that fear. Um, like with that fear idea, and then all of a sudden, and I don't watch much TV because I'm very busy, like with work, and I like really love what I do, and I love people, and I'm always up and about and like doing things on the phone and emailing and outside showing houses and blah 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 and deals and I don't know what else. That I never really watched TV, but during that 3 months period where the whole world was trying to figure out what to do, like with COVID, what's the new like structure, can we leave the house, not, whatever. I had a period where I turned the TV on, like Netflix and then Amazon. And there's this channel called Gaia, Gaia, that's all about spirituality and like consciousness and UFOs and quantum physics and conspiracy theories and like very like supernatural, like paranormal, like stuff that came into my vibration out of the blue. And all of a sudden, all these shows would just synchronistically, I don't search for these shows because I don't even know they're there, right? But they would just like appear, and I would begin watching them. And one specific show by Ruben Langdon, an amazing producer, the interview with Extra Dimensionals. Um, it was 2 seasons, like there, where he had like 12 episodes each of all these channels that have been channeling since the 80s. Um, he like interviewed them and like they would channel and they would talk about channeling, and I was like obsessed like for a month or a month and a half, however long it was, a short period of time, where I just watched that obsessively. I understood what was being said like English wise and like intellectually, but I had no context at all how that relates to me, to my being. It was so confusing but yet so intriguing that I literally like watched each episode 3 or 4 or 5 times just to kind of, I'm like, okay, I understand this but I don't understand, and I watch again and I understand a small little snippet. In that month and a half of complete immersion in that show, I feel now in retrospect, it like gave me all the information that would begin to unlock in like the next year and a half. And look, like when you awaken, like you have a day where you watch like a documentary for 2 or 3 hours or whatever, or all day if you want to like binge on something, and you're awakened and cool, wow, these are cool concepts, although you don't get them, but then you go back to three-dimensional reality for the next 3 months, forgetting about that, and like as if that never happened. And so it's all these breadcrumbs, right? So I would have an hour here like 2 months later, like 2 hours here like 4 months later. And then as I would like reawaken in these little like snippets, like these concepts would begin making sense like little by little. So like for the next year and a half after COVID, I became a bit comfortable on like what it means, and I could kind of, I guess, put the pieces of the puzzle together, and I began understanding what channeling is, because like for the longest time I didn't understand what consciousness was. I couldn't like tangentially, like a million people could explain what it is. I didn't understand what it is. Like I'm not understanding it. What does consciousness mean? But like one day it clicks, and it's me, it's energy, etc., etc. Um, and then I took one channeling class for 6 weeks where we would meet like once a week for 2 hours with like 6 other people on Zoom. And immediately when I jumped to volunteer to channel, not really knowing what I was doing, I thought I was a fraud. I thought I was making stuff up. Your ego comes in, trying to push you away. You didn't trust yourself. But I knew something like within me is happening, and my clue and my confirmation that totally like shattered my world is I have always stuttered all my life. Like my dad stutters and my uncle stutters and also my brother. Was my I felt a prisoner of my own speech and my throat all my life, and I still do. When I speak, you're gonna hear the word and then you're gonna hear the word like, and I use them like when I feel like I am going to stutter. You may not experience that, but that's my trick for me to transition. Because if I don't use and like, I'll go like the word. It's like my form of stuttering is that like the word wouldn't come out, and I'm like um, with with my mouth open and just wouldn't come out. So it's been a very traumatic experience for me all my life. In school, I traumatized my own self by my own experience, because I would get called on, and I couldn't speak, and I have like tunnel vision, and I would sweat, and so it's always been a thing with me. Every second, every breathing moment, I stutter, right? And like there are times that I don't, but there are a lot of times that I do. But the first time that I channeled, it was the first time ever in my whole existence, how many ever like seconds I've lived up until I was born, until now, where I was freed. I spoke fluently. Not a single word that was stuttering. I didn't feel whatever it is that I feel like when I stutter. And it was my proof. That was the only proof that I needed. That was so like visceral that whatever just happened right now that we call channeling, I left consciousness, I became consciousness, I'm semi, whatever it is real for me. Like nobody can give me any more proof that because of that experience like with stuttering. And like ever since then I just like took it to the next level, and in the sense that I started playing around with it. So like me and my friends for 5 months, like we would meet every Tuesday on Zoom, and like we would channel from 8 p.m. to like 1 a.m. or 12 p.m. Just have fun. We would like close our eyes and channel and laugh and joke with no expectation, like nothing. It's just
How did
we
you know you
channel.
how did you know you were channeling
Well,
other than not stuttering?
so as I come out of the channeling state, there was this instantaneous contrast of like awareness. Like it's hard to describe unless you experience it. It's like, wow, I was here, but I wasn't here. But like when I come out of the channeling state, it's this very clear contrast that I wasn't totally here, right? But also as I'm channeling, because I would rewatch like the channeling sessions, right? The more you go deep into it, like the more you leave like your awareness and you don't remember like what you're saying. You have no like memory of it. Like you get triggers later where like you remember some of it. When I like re-listen to it, because we recorded all of our session, all of those sessions, like I know how I speak. I know like the vocabulary in my mind, and I don't read books. I've never read a book in my life, and like there's a point why I'm telling you that.
Well, you had to be in real estate and get through college.
Well, listen, okay, I'm gonna backtrack. If I had to read something like for school, just for the sake of school and to pass whatever, I did read it, but I skimmed it and I never read anything. But for me, look, I can read articles, I can do emails, but like for me, like to grab, because I have so many friends, they say, "Oh, I bought this new book and I spent all weekend like reading it." I tried for so many freaking years, and I just don't have that capacity. I like to hear and I like to watch, like the way that I learn
Right. Good.
and absorb. Yeah. So the reason like that I'm mentioning like the book idea is when I re-listen to these messages, the channeled messages, I know the way I speak. I know the vocabulary that's in my mind. I know the imaginations that I've gone through. I know where my mind can extend to. A lot of the things they would explain and define and use the words and describe what they're seeing did not come from this physical brain. I'm telling you, I don't read fantasy books. I don't like, I just don't. So I know that didn't come from my physical mind. And that was my other proof that whatever was happening was really like energy, um, I guess, exchange that was coming. And they're using my words that's within my mind to kind of describe those vast experiences that oftentimes are hard to be described even with words, because words are limited in our world to
Right.
begin with.
So let's look at what is being channeled through you and how it has changed your life, because you don't even look the same that you used to. And I can describe it to our audience because uh, you wear face paint, but it's just in geometry. You have like a narrow stripe right the length of your nose. Today there are three. There's blue, white, and black. I guess it is.
Yes,
But in other times I've seen you where it's all white.
yes,
And then on your forehead is a geometric structure
yes,
that is all white.
yes,
And so that's your um, face painting for today. I'm sure you change it often.
yes, totally. Look, I live in Washington, D.C. I live in a very conservative town. Like for me to come out and say, which I tell all my clients, by the way, and like we can have another discussion. I'm very open book. I'm very excited about this new version of me that I share it with everyone, every stranger, everywhere I go. I
Even
go to
your real
see
estate clients see
listen.
you with your face painting.
Totally. I go and like do seminars at the World Bank, a massive, massive like this. And now I do my nails and that's another story that we can get into it, why I was called to do like the nails, like to paint my nails. But I live in a conservative time. Like for me to like walk around and say that like that I'm that I am a spiritual guide, blah blah blah, is cool, right? Because people like can understand it. But for me to take it a step further and say I channel bugs, insectoid, praying mantis beings is another level. I must, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? I must be either out of my mind, crazy, delusional, which could be one reality, or whatever happened to me like during my past life regression. Um, that was so visceral and real that I cannot shake my reality and what I experienced. On the back of my car, I have this massive decal. I've never had a decal that says I'm a realtor, I can help you find a house, like buy or sell ever, and I'm not called to, it just doesn't come naturally. On the back of my car, I have this massive decal that says the Antarian heart, channeling extra dimensional beings. Uh, I have insectoids, I have UFOs. So I have brand new clients in my car every single day from all walks of life. The first thing they see is that, and the first conversation we have is about spirituality and aliens. And I've had the most beautiful conversations with all these
I
beautiful
love
beings.
that. I love that because I've been an ambassador
Yeah,
of, um, you know, uh, of the other side because of my intuition,
yeah,
and for the last 30 some odd years, I would give people experience of my intuition in ways that they said they would have to say, well, life isn't the way we think it is.
yes,
And so you're even taking it to the nth degree, which is really cool.
yeah.
So let's talk about that. I mean, why did you start channeling these unique beings other than what other people channel normally?
Sure. Well, look, I mean, like when I was watching these channeling shows and like learning, in the beginning, when you don't know who you are, like fully, when you don't remember who you are, then you always want to emulate others and be like Bashar, like be like Rob Gauthier, be like this person, be like that person, because you don't know any better. And you're thinking they have a special gift that I don't have. And you just get excited to want to be like them. But that excitement really is, allowing you to dig deeper into who your connection is, are which with which beings. But I didn't know that concept then, right? I wanted to be like him or her because it was so cool, it was so different, it's so new. Like, who doesn't want to have knowledge? Who doesn't like, we all do, right? So I didn't know who I connected with and how they would come, how it would evolve. I had no clue, no timeline, no expectation. But I had a past life regression, my first past life regression, where I get hypnotized, and like the hypnotherapist would, would guide you on that journey to uncover whatever's supposed to be like uncovered. The minute I went under, the first image that came was a praying mantis head, very clear, and it was a flash, but within that flash, I was within it forever. So that's the first, and I have chills all over my body right now because I like relive that moment. In that moment, I had two realities that I was never, I didn't expect to experience. That I could experience the instant flash of a quick face of a praying mantis that I see, know, but at the same time, I was within that picture forever. Like I was in timelessness of time. The next image was this long-bodied silhouette of pure light being, like 20, 30 feet high. They were gigantic. It looked in like the shape of a human, so like you could see like a head shaped and like shoulders and arms. But and again, it was a split second, but yet I was in it like for a long time. There was a like download and a message that says, we are appearing to you in this manner because your physical brain will not be able to comprehend our true and full energy. So we need to come in like some sort of archetype for your brain to understand, okay, like you look humanoid like silhouette, I can accept the structure, but within that there's a lot of frequencies and vibrations within the light and like the photonic energy that your like body will begin to acclimate to, so it can get used to our like who we are, and that allowed more like connections in the future. The third and last image, again instantaneously, was of this heart. I was inside of this heart, layered. It's almost like you like laser cut a heart, and it's like these like thin layers. I was in these infinite thin layers, all faceted. What was so, and I'm getting chills all over my body right now. Like, look, and what was very
I know what
clear.
that's like because I get visitations
Yeah,
frequently, and when I'm visited, I can tell something's happening because I start getting chills.
Exactly. So like within that heart, these like infinite layers, they were all faceted and it was the most crystal clear that I could ever say. Like if you've ever seen in this lifetime like a clear crystal, this goes times a million, but there was a consciousness behind that clarity that I cannot describe all the way through. So all the layers were like faceted, and within the middle of the infiniteness, although there is no middle in like infinity, but there was like one midpoint. There was this grain of of sorry, I'm stuttering now. A grain of light. It was a small little dot, like super tiny, and like the download and like the message that came through is that you, like meaning all of us, are such powerful beings that you do not need to display your power in the sense of a massive flame or a bonfire or a volcano or a big fire structure. That all you need is a small drop, a grain of who you are to illuminate yourself. That spark of light that was so tiny, and I have chills all over my body again now, illuminated or like reflected off the one facet to the next, to the next, to the infinite facets, creating this Merkaba of light. And in that moment, I knew, oh my God, my chills are pure. Like I'm like chicken with his feathers cut off, you see?
Yeah, well, you're
Um,
showing me that on the screen.
Yes. So in that moment, I knew I was heart, that like we are all love, and I knew that we're all light. Like we're all like all of us are light beings. And in that moment, it completely like solidified, and I knew that I lived as a praying mantis being. I knew that they're my people, they're my connection in this lifetime, they're my memory, they're my and there's and like that kind of took me to the like next level because I felt so excited to belong, because when you're disempowered, you think you don't belong and you want to belong to a form of species or whatever that is. You know what I mean? Like in the
Well,
beginning.
it's interesting because I've recently been journeying and finding different power animals, and so lately I discovered one of my power animals is the platypus,
Oh, okay.
and that was very cool. And then I recently did a journey where I was in a powwow, a Native American powwow, because I was in it like a trance state, and and in that powwow, they said, "We are here to give you your name." And my name was Gray Wolf. So
Wow.
that was very cool. But I'm thinking of what you're saying and imagining praying mantis and what, I mean, in our imaginations, especially giant praying mantises, giant intelligent praying mantises. Not that they're not intelligent in their own right in nature, but we're talking about a consciousness that speaks. And so to see that for our audience, just to picture all of a sudden being in a reality where praying mantises, giant praying mantises, are our friends and have a lot to say. And what does that open up to, even our visual context of life, of what we expect to be normal? Because praying mantises don't look normal. And so then when you see yourself in the world of being of that world of praying mantises, that can alter one's um, uh, opportunities for change dramatically. And so it makes sense that you are living in a much more creative, unusual world because you've been re-identified in that realm of praying mantises, and that's so cool. Um, I know that we talked about during the show. It's getting late now. We're near the end of the show. That you would do some channeling, so I guess we're going to have to do another show soon. And
Totally. Listen, to tell
oh,
you,
what a shame.
I know, right? Look, to tell you my whole story, you probably need many shows. But I'm happy to like bring them through because because like the many questions like I like get asked is how like do you know that you connect with them, and because they're insectoids, we've been so brainwashed that like insects are scary. And look, by the way, like for your audience, I've been terrified of insects all of my life. I didn't like bees, I didn't like wasps, I didn't like anything that's crawly. I don't like everything that has like so many legs and arms. I was deathly afraid of.
Yeah, but when they get big and friendly, that's a different story.
Listen, when they get big, they terrify the blank out of you.
Well,
But
yeah,
no,
but if they're friendly,
totally, totally. But no, like the point is like for me to have been so afraid all my life of anything of that form, but yet to arrive to this new knowingness that they are friendly, and now I have bees that come and land on my like I'm not afraid of insects. Like I have a very different view on these what I thought was like crawly, creepy insects. They're all like whatever happened to me must have been so profound that things shifted, because otherwise I would be like running the other direction.
he's come by and see you as a fellow insect.
Totally. But like when they come through, you'll feel their energy. That's something that is so visceral, I cannot describe to you. You'll feel, you'll understand. It's just their vibration and frequency is of unconditional love. Um, and and like when people have channeling sessions, or like when they hear them, like when I'm on stage and I'm channeling for the public, you just can't escape that energy, and instant knowingness within yourself of how beautiful beings they are. There's and in that moment there's no doubt on earth that these beings are not of love and light. Just there isn't. It's so visceral.
I'm excited for the next time we talk so we can take it to the next level. Uh,
Totally.
so how can people find out more about you?
Yes. So the best way is to go like to my website, my first name, last name.com, and my name spelled with an I, not a Y. Toni, my last name Ghazi. So ToniGhazi.com. All my information is there. All my social media is there. Like you can book a session there. I do executive coaching. Like you see all my events. You also have my email. So if you have any questions, like email me directly. And I think I have my cell phone number there because I don't mind giving it out. Yeah, so that's the best way. And like you can follow me on YouTube, Instagram, all that stuff, which you can get through my website. And I have praying mantis crystal skulls, just to to mention for the audience. I'm the only one in the world that has praying mantis crystal skulls that are made of natural stones. And I'm showing you like one of the large ones. You may have heard of like the crystal heads, right? Like the crystal skulls.
Right, right.
Yeah, but these are praying
Oh,
mantis.
they're yeah, fascinating. So people should go online and look at your website and they can see
Yes.
these. So this is great. We're getting really close to the end of the show now. Toni, it's
Sure.
so much fun to talk with you. This is so exciting. And we all should really appreciate the opportunities for a new world that we're coming into, and you certainly are an ambassador for it. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for your audience. We're all awakening. We always awaken. We never have not awakened. It's just we're learning more about the infinite of who we are and the multidimensionality. And this is part of the process. Is look, today I may connect with the praying mantises. I could like connect 3 years from now with some other being, and that becomes my next thing. I have no idea. Every day is a brand new day for me, and with no expectations. So,
I love that.
yeah.
Toni, thank you so much.
Thank you, Peter.
And this is Peter Roth, your host of Energy Stew at prn.live. I can be reached at peter at heartriver, HEART river.org. I'd love to hear from you, and thanks so much for listening.